What's up, Legion? This is I Still Called a Lariat. We are a pro wrestling podcast. I can guarantee you that we are the greatest pro wrestling podcast that is being recorded at this exact moment. This moment. With these two guys. With me, as always, this week is my boy Hound. How you doing over there, Hound Dog?
I am doing well, Steve. Good to see you. It was fun chatting with you while we watched through Survivor Series, and it's probably good that people can't see our text threads because it's just filled with just ridiculous childish humor, and
it's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense, but that's what it should be.
It should be.
For those who do not hear, my name is Steve Zapf. I am the owner, proprietor, host, producer, corraller of this show. We, as I said, pro wrestling podcast. We do talk about pro wrestling occasionally, but we also make fun of each other and have fun a lot. So, Legion, thank you for being with us as always. Real quick, if you are enjoying what you hear, as always, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that follow, whatever it is. Comment on it, guys. We have done a great job of answering comments. We keep getting a comment from this guy, Gook for something or other. I don't know who he is. He's a big jerk, though. He's not a big jerk. He's a really nice guy. But folks, the only other thing I want to comment is I did have to answer a comment recently. Please, any comments about the show, please pertain it to either the show or at least to pro wrestling. We like answering both of those things. That's all we talk about on here. With that said, we're going to get into our nonprofit organizations that we support. And that the first one is, of course, as always, Tap Cancer Out, a series of jiu-jitsu tournaments that helps out with Alex's Lemonade Stand, American Brain Tumor Association, Isabel Santos Foundation, Little Pink Houses of Hope, Camp Sunshine, Christopher's Haven, the Sidney Kimmel Comprehensive Cancer Center at Johns Hopkins, CureCervicalCancer.org, First Descent, and of course, Tom Coughlin's J Fun. Hound, let me get it. Come on, give it to me.
The J Fun. I love doing that. It's fun.
It's always so fun.
And it clears out the diaphragm, if you will.
It does. I can actually feel how much you love it when we do it. The other nonprofit organization we have been helping out with is, of course, the American Red Cross and their disaster relief funds. Obviously, if you have been following the show, we talk about a lot how Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton just completely tore up the entire southeast part of the United States. And if you can help out even a little bit with that, guys, please help out however you can. Most of these people are still left with pretty much nothing, and even little bits. If you don't go through them, if you find a place that can take your old jackets or anything you don't use, trust me, they could use it. It is officially December nowadays, and that means it's cold throughout most of the country, so they could definitely use all of that.
Exactly, folks. And if you're out there listening, just to put it in perspective, I'm up in Jersey and Steve's in Florida. So here in Jersey, we're talking in a 48-hour span, it was consistently 50s throughout the day, 40s at night. It is now low 20s at night. And if we're lucky, if we're seeing high 30s to 40, and it's only going to get colder. And that is going to reach all the way down into the Carolinas and eventually even gets to Florida. They start seeing some 40-degree weather, which is just hell on earth for them down there. But it's, yes, if you can help out, it's even, folks, it's Cyber Monday. If you can send some socks, anything you can do to help. I myself have sent some old jackets down to the Red Cross and everything else. It's a great thing, and you will never, ever regret helping somebody out.
Oh, never, especially not something like this. The last one that we have been pushing towards, and if anyone has watched Turning Point from TNA this past week, they did a video for him, is Chris Bay's GoFundMe. This has gotten a lot of legs to it, and we appreciate the fact that the wrestling community has come together for it, because this is one of those times where we are a community. We are, we are the fun and dysfunctional a lot of times. We're a fraternity that in a lot of ways we help each other out, as it's one of those things where Chris Bay really, really got hurt. He is a phenomenal performer in the ring. He's a phenomenal performer on the microphone when he's doing his music, all that stuff. He has so much promise and hope. Like, let's make sure that we keep supporting this guy who we hope to see back in the ring way sooner than later.
Yeah, folks, if you can help out with this as well, we've all been touched at some point by somebody dealing with an illness or an injury. And of course, we would love to see this gentleman make it back to the ring. But more importantly than any of that, I would love to know that he just has normalcy back to his life. So we're praying for you. We're pulling for you. And we're going to keep shouting everything out about you and getting you all the help we can, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. But like Hound said, this is about helping people here. So guys, we like to joke and have fun, but at the same time, we like to throw this stuff out there too. But with that stuff, Hound, I keep hearing this rumor every week that we're supposed to be talking about wrestling.
Lies and slander.
Who did I slander?
Me?
Slander. That's fair. That might have actually happened. That could be a thing. Oh, you know what? Let's talk about the wrestling that didn't slander anything first, and that would be NXT this week. They were they were in Orlando again, as they normally are. They were back at the Performance Center. I believe it is next week is when they're going to do Deadline, and that is going to be in Minnesota, in Minneapolis. But they start off this show with a quick Ridge Holland promo. It's literally just him coming out to the Chase U music, and everyone thinks they're going to get like a heartfelt goodbye from like Andre Chase maybe, and he tears through the Chase U banner, and you just feel the air get sucked out of the room. It was pretty perfect. And he says the 4 words that no one ever wants to hear. I told you so. That's all. That's pretty much all he says in the promo, and then just puts the mic down and goes back into the locker room to have some water and some chicken.
You're exactly right. It did suck the air out of the room, and this is going to be a comparative throwback. So think back to when Roman beat Taker at Mania, and he came out to, I believe it was Raw the following night. Yeah. And everybody, I mean, they were booing him and his entire family and anyone who'd ever pumped gas for him.
It's a big family too.
It really is. And he sat there, he took it in, and his promo was, "It's my yard now." 4 words just like that. And
Done.
it was perfect. In the time, and that was during the suffer and succotash times of Roman. But not to go off on a tangent with this whole thing right there, but the Ridge Holland thing right there, with the way this is built, he's a great heel, and with him having the aesthetics that he has, because he's a good looking dude. On top of it, he's chiseled out of granite, and he's a brute. So and he's intelligent. So on top of it, he beats you to hell up. You're probably not going to hurt him, and he might be smarter than you. So he's probably going to take your girlfriend. So he's a dick, and it's perfect.
Plus, he's got that accent.
Well, yeah,
jerk,
right?
Big jerk. But I'm loving what they're doing with Ridge right now. Yeah, I do love it. They're building him in the exact right way. You could make the argument that maybe they moved him up to the main roster a little bit too early by what they're doing with him now, but they're making up for it because everything that they're doing right now, again, kind of how we say it, they're playing the right notes.
Yeah, and I love the fact that, because when he was part of the Brawling Brutes, he was a great fit for the Brawling Brutes, because, I mean, he is a Brawling Brute, ultimately. But had that not all kind of fallen apart, I don't think we ever would have gotten this, and he might have he might have just been an also-ran in the race as opposed to somebody with a shot at winning it. And right now, with what they're doing with him, I don't see him ever becoming like a true threat for a world title on the main roster, at least not just yet. But he certainly is a threat to hold that NXT title. And if you can get to that point, that means that the powers that be have some faith in you and they believe you can develop. So he definitely has a huge upside. I could see him making it back to the main roster and winning the secondary titles, but we'll see. And there's nothing wrong with being somebody who's around the US and the IC title. There's nothing wrong with holding those straps.
I could definitely see him holding the US title.
Yeah.
I could really see him doing it. So first match of the night is going to be All Ego Ethan Page versus Axiom in an Iron Survivor qualifier match. I got excited about this. I know how good Axiom is, and we constantly talk about how good Ethan Page is. This is a good wrestling match. Ethan Page uses a lot of size advantage in this, and Axiom uses a lot of nice transitions. So for anyone who doesn't know Axiom's background, I believe he's an actual full-fledged black belt in judo, and he also trains Brazilian jiu-jitsu on top of it. So his ability to fly combined with him transitioning from different submission moves was beautiful in this match. Honestly, it had that feel of what you constantly say you kind of want from Hook.
Yeah.
That, like, you can just move from submission to submission and almost use a submission like a knockout punch.
Yeah. Yeah. Axiom, man, he's got a huge upside. I've never really dug into trying to find out who is behind the mask there, so I could be like, oh, he was such and such in such and such, and be like, okay, it all makes sense now. But yeah, it told the story well, and look, Ethan Page isn't going to have a bad match.
No.
He's 100% main roster ready, and not only that, I think you could put him within the first year of there. He's going to be flirting with the big boys, if you will. Axiom has shown everybody, and when inevitably he does get a shot at doing some single stuff, you're going to be looking at a real dark horse contender who eventually, like, you're like, how did that just happen? And when you look back, you're like, you know what? The writing was on the wall the whole time. Like, in the moment, you're like, I can't believe it. Like one of those air sucked out of the rooms when a title changes hands or a beloved face or long-standing pillar, if you will, is taken down by him. And then when you really sit back and think about it, you go, you know what? All that math adds up now.
Honestly, I think he has a little bit more potential to fill that void of the Rey Mysterio type than even Dragon Lee does. In all honesty, just he feels a little bit more in that. One thing I did notice about this match too is Page looked a lot more vicious than like his last match with Trick even, and that was supposed to be a really vicious match, and this he actually had some nice viciousness. And you know me, man, I love a good backbreaker, and Ethan Page showed a lot of really nice backbreaker variations in this, including one on a turnbuckle, which just ow.
It might sting a little.
Yeah, it's
or if you're lucky, hits the right spot and finally cracks your back. You're like, oh my God, I've needed that for 6 months.
Yeah, like the old desk in high school.
Bro, I would give anything for that old floppy chair and just feel it go from my tailbone up to my brain. Ugh, good Lord, I could use that right now.
No, we are not going to break into a high school to steal a desk.
Says you.
Maybe we will. Shh.
There's no proof. There's no proof on the internet on this episode.
On right
on
now.
December 1st, 2024 at 9:16 p.m. in the year of our Lord that was said.
No one said that. I'm going to have the cops at my house tomorrow. So we understood you stole some chairs. What? No.
None of this happened.
Good Lord. So I'm going to get us back on track, I promise. Ethan Page ends up winning the match, and it leads to all of the current entrants for the Iron Survivor match coming down and cutting little mini promos here. And then once again, we get the entirety of the tag division coming out for a melee because that's what they just keep doing. I like that they acknowledge that this idea wasn't the best thing that they did. And they do later on in the show, at least, like, this wasn't the best thing they could have done. But it's almost like by saying it on screen, it's like, well, we were throwing stuff at the wall, seeing if it'll stick. Did you like it? No? Okay, we're moving on. Oh, man. Next match on the card is Lola Vice versus Ren Sinclair.
Oh, can I guess? Clearly you hated it because Ren Sinclair was in it, right?
This was the worst match ever. Listen, Ren does one thing better than everyone else on NXT as far as I'm concerned. She makes the other person look phenomenal.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. If for anybody listening, Steve doesn't stop gushing about Ren Sinclair. And truthfully, it's deserved. Like, hats off to that young lady. God bless. Her upside is tremendous.
She's gonna do really, really great stuff. I'm positive of it. I wrote on my notes, I'm hoping Ren impresses again. By the way, she did impress again. Lola also impressed me, though. I already knew what I was getting with Lola Vice, so I know who she is. I know that they're building her to be this huge star, and she should be a huge star. She has the look, she has the background, she has the ability to talk on the microphone. She shows a lot of really good aggression during this match, which I like a lot. As to where Ren does a lot of innovative type of ground-based offense. There's a lot of innovative rolls into holds that she does, and it's really cool. Lola wins with that spinning back fist, which it looks vicious, and I think that's a really cool finish for her. I won't get on my high horse and talk about how a closed fist is supposed to be a disqualification because we don't live by those rules anymore. But Lola, at the end of this match, Lola wins and Ren still looks good.
Ultimately, where I see Ren Sinclair, and I'm starting to get this vibe, and maybe you'll agree with me. I think she's going to end up kind of being a gatekeeper, and when they finally do get her to a title, it's going to be emotional, like when Sami Zayn won the NXT title. Like, you're going to have people in the NXT universe in tears, like the locker room coming out to hug her and lift her up on the shoulders. And then if all goes well, follow the tried and true Kevin Owens thing with him right there. And whoever it is that is on Ren Sinclair's side turns on her immediately. So take the air right out of the room because she is perfect for that. And that is such a great spot to be in as a performer.
I agree. I think she is the perfect person for that formula.
Yeah.
Next up, we get our first title match of the evening. It's going to be Tony D'Angelo, the North American champion, versus Shawn Spears. Hey, gabagool.
Hey,
gabagool.
Listen, I might have some gabagool in my fridge. How dare you? I do.
I assume you do.
Yeah, listen, you've been to my parents' house and had pop cutlets, dude. They're ridiculous.
Yeah, you got some pasta fagioli.
How dare you? It's pasta fagioli. You uncultured swine.
The best is he knows I'm doing it just to get him.
You have spent so much time around my Guinea family. How dare you? Let me guess, it's ricotta. It's ragout.
Listen, we're in America. We say every syllable here.
I know, it's a foyer.
It is a foyer.
I love it.
Oh, man. You say herb and we say herb because there's a fucking H in
it. I love it. But yeah, man, I'm a big fan of Tony D. I'm loving it. I wasn't at first, and I take him very seriously now. They got something brewing with him.
I have written here, I agree with you. Tony D is really starting to impress me. he does a lot of really good stuff. He has good size too. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's got. I think they are doing a good job of transitioning him into being a little bit more serious too. Which that was my only real knock, even with the D'Angelo family gimmick, was there was a little bit too much comedy to it, a little bit too much fun for what they were trying to do with him, and like now it seems like they're taking things a little bit more seriously, especially with this Spears gimmick coming in at him. He went right back after that knee again that he hurt last week. Tony proves during the match that he kind of has more guts than brains by keep going. And he ends up winning cleanly with that spinebuster that he hits. And then he gets jumped by the rest of Shawn Spears' group, which again adds to. I think this is going to add to them building towards Tony probably versus this dude Nico moving into Deadline, but it's a good clean match. Shawn Spears, I always hate saying it like this, but he's a good hand. He constantly shows up and delivers, and he's just never been put at the top of the card, unfortunately, and he probably should.
He definitely should have. I mean, they missed the boat back in the days, and we're going back a long time to the Perfect 10. And they missed the boat with him there. But I don't think it bothers him so much because Shawn Spears, while he's a physical specimen, but he's our age. He is way closer to hanging up them boots than he is to, lacing them for the first time. So it may very well be his call where he's like, okay, I can go out there, and if these younger cats can pull this off with me, they're going to be just fine. And that's not wrong.
No, not at all. I agree with you. The only thing I'm going to disagree with you on is as hot as he was with the Perfect 10 gimmick, I think that first year of AEW when he came in and they had him feud with Cody, they could have strapped a rocket to his back after that and really done something with him, and they just didn't. Like they gave him the feud with Cody, and then all of a sudden he was relegated to their internet shows.
Okay, here's the comparison I would make then. They've done with him the same kind of formula they've done with Pac, but Pac has had more time in the spotlight. Another person who should have been used properly and just hasn't the whole time. And again, with him being, like I said, way closer to the end than the beginning, I wouldn't doubt if you don't have Shawn Spears in the background being like, no, man, I don't need the strap. Like, let's do this.
I agree with that. I think especially he runs a wrestling school now. I could see him doing this now this is like flat back training will probably get one of the WWE ID things soon. I fully can see that one happening. A match that you and I both said last week we were going to be really excited to see. Keilani Jordan versus Julia. Hound, I'm going to echo your sentiment from last week. This is kind of no lose for Keilani. I know we constantly talk about the getting the rub. I don't know if this match was necessarily the rub, but it was kind of on the job training. Like, hey, and even for Julia on her part of this, I appreciate that she was smart enough to go heel a bit in this one. She's definitely more aggressive. I don't want to say underhanded tactics, but she is willing to be more vicious during this whole thing. And she definitely comes off more in the heel perspective than obviously Keilani is, which I think you needed her to do that. You needed Keilani to have the fire, and you needed Julia to basically be the heel during this. And I'll say this, they hit nice and snug during this match.
So I kind of want to take what you just said there for a second and offer you an alternative perspective. So anybody who isn't living under a rock knows Julia, cut her teeth in Japan. Japanese style is very hard hitting, and Julia leaned into that over in the, what was it, Stardom over there?
Yes, she was in Stardom.
And like she was like a brute in Stardom. And I believe with Kaylani Jordan, the two of them felt comfortable enough, and Julia was almost like, okay, young lady, like you're coming, like here's your behind the woodshed moment, everything else, and nothing was, there were no liberties taken, but this, she was able to lean back into a comfort zone of the Japanese style and get a little bit more snug, because Kaylani can take it and will dish it back. And you know, from being in the ring just like I do, when you're comfortable with somebody, you're okay with stuff coming in hard.
So, I mean, I always preferred it than trying to sell something that wasn't there.
Yeah.
Because trying to sell something that's not there, you both look dumb at that point. A lot of times, this was nice. This was a good match. I think this was, again, for Kalani Jordan, I think this was a no lose situation. This was on screen. You're watching her get a shot at the Iron Survivor, which she's still going to get another shot at it during next week for this last chance, which we'll get into a little bit next. But also, she gets a chance to cut her teeth with Julia, which anytime you get to work with someone with this much experience, her, a Stephanie Vaquer, any of these people, a Natalia, there's nothing but good that can come from this, because you're going to learn from the best.
Yeah, and if you're somebody who is truly open to viewing yourself through a lens of wanting to improve, you're going to have your shortcomings kind of highlighted for you. And if you can step away from your own ego and say, okay, so I couldn't keep up with the pace, I couldn't keep up with the chain wrestling, okay, I definitely got lost in the psychology of this, whatever it is, wherever you, like we talked about with the backbreaker from Steph last week, wherever the more experienced person caught you, protected you, and carried you, if you're willing to look at yourself, the sky's the limit. As long as you don't take it too harsh on yourself, and like, it's like in baseball, you can't go into the dugout and cry every time you strike out. I mean, it's a game of failure. Same thing when you're cutting your teeth in wrestling. You're going to screw up the bumps. You're going to miss the spot. You're going to throw a clothesline that looks completely ass. All this stuff. And Kaylani Jordan is still so green. You lock up, you're going to get grass stains on your wrists. So, and for her to be as skilled as she is right now, and I don't even want to say skilled so much as the raw potential. Again, I keep saying it, but you know, the upside is huge, and I'm real excited for it.
I'm very excited for this. And like I said, this match delivered. It was really, really good. I'm happy Julia won. I think she should have won. I think this is, I think this was, I think you need her and Stephanie both in this Iron Survivor match. The next segment is backstage segment. We have Ava announcing a last chance fatal 4-way match for both the men's and the women's Iron Survivor. Basically, everyone that has lost their matches is going to get one more shot to go after it. Kehlani Jordan is involved in that, as obviously, since she had just lost this match. And this is where we talk about that she is admitting that this whole tag team idea was not the best idea, and that it's just had mayhem ensue. So now we get a tag team battle royal next week. And Axiom and Frazier, regardless of whether or not Axiom gets into Iron Survivor or not after the last chance, they still have to also defend their titles at Deadline. So that's a lot. I feel like, I think we've said this, I feel like we're just looking for a reason to get these titles off them so that they can feud a little bit.
Yeah, I don't want to necessarily say it like this, but I don't know how else to. But Fraxium, if you will, has run its course.
I think so.
And
It's
time to split them and do the typical "we now hate each other" kind of thing. And I mean, because of this, this isn't a prediction show, but prediction. I think Axiom's going to win the last spot. Like the maths for that right now. And especially if the two of them are in there, and then sow the seeds of discontent where it would be crazy if this leads to Axiom winning the whole thing because he pinned Frazier for the last thing or whatever. But I see them dropping the titles, and then the two of them starting to lock some horns for a little while.
See, I kind of see it a little bit more if they are both involved in this, that one of them is going to pin the other one, causing them to lose it. Like they're at the end of it, they're going to be the one that like, oh, I was out of it, so I definitely can't win it or something like that.
Yeah, I mean
it's going to be one or the other, but like I see where you're going. It's basically just the opposite side of the coin on that one.
Yeah, it's 6 in one and a half dozen in the other.
The other part of this was, again, Eddie Thorpe trying to talk to Ava this whole time. Anyone who's seen what happened, I don't know. I don't think Eddie Thorpe did anything too bad. Like, maybe he shouldn't have grabbed her wrist, but at the same time,
Well, he certainly didn't. He didn't hit the door.
He didn't hit the door. It didn't look like he grabbed her wrist, like, aggressively. And again, I don't know if that's what they were trying to sell. I know, Hound, you and I spoke about this just before the show we came on, and we said that this has all of the ingredients for a secret romance angle.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't had a good one of those in a while, and it would be pretty cool. It's something different and with it not being, it's been long enough where it can be fresh and new. But my favorite part of the whole thing was Shawn Michaels going full dad mode, because I've had to go dad mode, and I was
full dad mode.
I was like, hell yeah, I would have done this. It wouldn't have just been a shove. Like I'm sorry, but Eddie Thorpe's head would have gone through the damn thing if that was I don't want to. Never mind. Sean, Dad and me's coming out.
Sean, he's lucky that Sean didn't throw that chair shot that he's infamous for.
He's lucky his name wasn't Stan. He would have got super kicked.
Wait, Stan is... Oh. Oh, man. All right.
Just kicked Stan.
And there's Stan just sitting here, just two segments before this.
Not controversial.
Oh, man. All right, we the next segment we have on the show is a Trick Williams promo. Overall, it's a good promo. I don't want to say it's a great promo. I think I just want more from Trick at this point. We're kind of just seeing the same. It's rinse and repeat with Trick lately, and I'm not trying to bash him here. I think he needs a little bit more fire, a little bit more anger in some of his promos. I need to see I need to see a little bit of that actually well up, rather than just him like, guys, that really hit me hard. No, like I get scared that you're gonna have to bleep out him dropping an F-bomb. Don't go that far, but like, yeah. I need fire out of him.
So I see what you're saying, and I want you to think back. I'm not sure how many episodes ago it was, but you and I had a conversation, and we talked about the high upside of Trick, and you were kind of saying you thought he was ahead of Mello, like comparatively, like at that time in their career. And I kept saying, I really want you to go back and examine this, and I think you're starting to see what I had said play out a little bit. Now, Trick's not doing a bad job. He's a little bit more monotone than I would like, and it's monotone in a cheery way almost. And that's the thing, where, you could have that and you could garner sympathy with saying that really hit me hard and get the whole oh moment from the crowd, but not when you're the champ, you're the guy. I'm sorry, but I don't care that your feelings are hurt right now. Defend your damn title. And on top of it,
my feelings.
Yeah, and on top of it, he was a Philadelphia Eagle, so I mean, I already can't like him. But Trick Williams is incredible, and I think it's time to get the title off him and get him involved with some people who are going to bring some stuff out of him. Like, I almost wish he could go spend some time with William Regal. And I think William Regal will get something out of him. And I'm hoping that's so. In a weird way, he almost needs to find his Paul Heyman. And because I don't think he's a Paul Heyman guy type, but he needs to find that. And that's why I say William Regal, because I think Regal will, again, I've said it many times, he's in my top 10 of all time. I think Regal would get a lot of good out of him.
You know who he needs? Leia.
I would love that if Teddy Long came back for him. It would be shenanigans.
Shenanigans. This promo gets interrupted by Ridge, which you kind of saw happening. And then the entirety of the thing gets interrupted by a video message from Eric Bischoff. Yes, that's right. The Eric Bischoff. That says he's coming to NXT next week and he can't wait to stir the pot a little bit, basically. And not that Eric Bischoff is ever known to, stir. How did you say it to our friend? Stir the sauce!
Listen, how dare you? Eric Bischoff is a saint.
He is 0 levels of controversy.
Not ever once did he ever do anything of questionable moral fiber.
Like today?
While we're talking, at least.
Yeah, like while this episode was happening?
I mean, that we're aware of. I'm excited for it, though, man. I really am. It's good. Listen, Bischoff is Bischoff. And in small doses, Bischoff being Bischoff does good things, but it has to be small doses. And I think he's self-aware enough to understand that. And I think enough time has borne out in his career where he's like, okay, all right, I'm good in a 2-3 month stint, and then let me get the hell out of there, because eventually I'm going to want to get my grimy little mitts into everything. And when his grimy little mitts get into everything, the works get gummed up, if you will.
a little gummed up. The water gets muddy with bunny rabbit ears. We're doing quote marks in the air for anyone who is only listening to us.
Yes, and I was doing them very aggressively.
Aggressive. And when you're a 6'9" man, it's very aggressive.
Yes. Indeed.
So we get the main event of the night, the second title match, and it's going to be Fallon Henley defending her women's North American title against Tatum Paxley. You know what? I'm not surprised I like this match. I thought I was going to after the whole scenario that we saw last week with Tatum's finisher and everything. The match was very good. Tatum Paxley did really well in this match. I am not as well versed in Tatum Paxley as I probably should. And now I have to go back and watch some of her older stuff to see some of the other stuff that she did. But as kind of thought, Fallon goes over and Fatal Influence comes in and starts beating up Tatum. But she gets saved by the returning Gigi Dolan, which everyone's happy because everyone loves some Gigi Dolan. I never really thought about it, but the whole Dolan thing and it being, again, another Punk name, do you think this is a shot fired a little bit at Darby Allin? Because they used to kind of mess around?
And I don't know if it's that deep. I mean, look, it may very well be, but I don't think it's that deep at all. I think just Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley are a good fit for each other.
Oh, I definitely think that these two are a good fit for each other. I think this'll. I really hope that we get some push out of Gigi Dolan. She is a really good worker, and she brings an interesting look. She has a little bit of that, almost like that Lita look about her.
Yeah, I see it.
Or like that anti, you know what, the old school Page look, the almost like the anti diva look. I know they're not divas anymore, but like.
But Fatal Influence has the appearance of that, and truthfully, I don't think that Tatum Paxley should necessarily be separated away feuding wise from them as of yet. But in order to do that, you need somebody to be there with it. So you kind of need to build a foil too. And I think that's the start of this. And I think it's a good plan. I think we're going to see this play out over the next 2 to 3 months. And I think it could be very, very interesting. I will say that I am intrigued at least.
I agree. I think you need some form of an alliance to go after this Fatal Influence group. And this is a good start to that alliance. And I agree. I will use the same words you did. Intrigued. This keeps and again, this was a really good episode of NXT again. I know we constantly talk about we're kind of at the end of the year, we're getting a little bit of palate cleanse, but this show didn't do anything wrong by any means. I give this a solid B-.
I agree there. It's definitely a B-, and this was the first show I've seen in a while that successfully pushed forward the storylines the right way. Even with the chaotic nature of the tag team thing and the chaotic nature it's in and of itself with the Iron Survivor, them acknowledging like, we threw some crap at the wall. Them saying it like that was the perfect on top for it because it showed some humanity. And with that being at the NXT level, that's very acceptable and very welcome to me, where it's like, this is supposed to be where folks are, we've said the phrase cutting your teeth a couple times at this point, but this is where this is supposed to be happening. And even Ava, as the young, still learning on the job manager, fact that she came out to say that, perfect for character development. So to me, that was almost the highlight of the night, was just that line there.
And I'm sure that was a Shawn Michaels thing. Let's not forget, Shawn Michaels is still a creative genius for the most part. He knows how to build a wrestling show.
Yeah, he's absolutely out of his mind, and you need somebody completely out of their mind for NXT, which is why when eventually Punk takes the reins down there, I think it's going to be spectacular.
Oh, he's a nutcase.
Yes,
it's going to be great. But let's move on from NXT. Again, NXT, great show. I'm very happy with what they did. A B- is well beyond passing at this point. Like, good job, guys. You're doing everything in the right direction right now, especially building towards deadline. And let's move on to AEW Dynamite.
Dynamite.
Dynamite. Yes, I love it. It says Spanish.
I mean, maybe.
I don't think that's how it's said at all, but whatever.
It's probably not how it's said, but
it's provocative. It'll get the people going.
I'm glad you got where I was going, bud.
Oh, man. All right. Let's talk about my favorite part of Dynamite because it opens the show.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the closing credits.
No. No, they don't have closing credits. They only do that on WWE shows.
You mean it wasn't Tony Schiavone?
I don't want to go on a rant just yet. Hold on.
I'm just messing around. Do your thing.
Hold on. No rants yet. I want to give Dynamite their flowers because they opened the show with Shelton Benjamin versus Mark Briscoe. Yes. With MVP cutting a promo before the match. Everything about this, yes. Guys, do this. Do what you're doing. Oh my God.
So anybody out there in the Legion, so I'm going to assume that some of you may not know that Briscoe and Benjamin have been in the ring with each other 1 billion times before. And if you want to see some incredible stuff, and Steve and I have said many times, the name Jay Briscoe is to be spoken with the utmost reverence. The Briscoe brothers against Haas and Benjamin you will be on the edge of your seat. Like they are some of the best matches because the Briscoe brothers can just go in the ring, and on top of it, they're crazy rednecks. So they can just fight. And Haas and Benjamin are world-class amateur wrestlers who also will punch you in the damn mouth. It was perfect. So do yourselves a favor and go down that YouTube rabbit hole and watch that. You won't be disappointed.
And the best part is Shelton Benjamin doesn't actually have to punch you in the mouth.
No, he doesn't.
If he gets a hold of you, he will stretch like 98% of the planet.
Yeah. Such a good match.
Can we talk about right in the beginning, man? Out, not just the promo. This match starts with obviously the Hurt Syndicate in the ring, and they have to leave because it's a Continental Classic match, so you're not allowed anyone on the outside. And Mark Briscoe comes face to face with Bobby Lashley.
I love it.
I don't want to stand between those two.
I never knew I wanted a Lashley Briscoe match until then.
Yeah, I want the match. I just because Mark Briscoe's crazy.
A little bit.
He's crazy.
A little bit.
The match was as good as I thought it was going to be. It was everything I thought it was going to be. It was Shelton using the wrestling and the power of it. It was Mark using redneck kung fu and just being chicken. I love him.
I love it so much.
I love it so much. I have a question. Has Shelton Benjamin not aged at all?
Shelton Benjamin is what I want to say. He's right around our age. I think
he's older than us, man.
Really?
Yeah, because he was.
Wasn't he teammates in Minnesota with Brock Lesnar?
No, he was an assistant coach with Lesnar.
Really?
He had actually graduated already.
Is Shelton in his 50s?
He might be. Hold on. We got this magical tool called the internet. Let me look this up because...
Look it up on the intrawebs.
Shelton Benjamin. Right there. Let's see how old Mr. Benjamin is. He was born in 1975. He's almost 50 years old. He's 49 years old right now.
Shelton Benjamin is, and same with Lashley. My God bless them. They are ageless wonders. And folks, anybody out there listening, do yourself a favor and go back and watch any old Benjamin stuff, any of his tag team iterations, his single stuff, because he hasn't missed a step at 49 years old to be doing what he's doing. He's doing what he did when he was 20. It's incredible.
I think the only difference between now and then is he's more experienced, so he has a better mind for the ring.
I am so glad you said that because he 100%, he's, I don't want to call him a ring general. It's not a Gunther type thing with it, but he really is you can put him in there with anyone on the planet and you are going to have at worst a passing match, at best a Meltzer
classic.
Yeah, a Meltzer is just excited for the next year match.
Again, please give us him versus Buddy Matthews.
Please.
Oh,
and him versus Malachi.
Yeah. Please, let's have this happen. Listen. Mark Briscoe looks great during this match. They are still building Shelton the right way. Shelton Benjamin gets the win in this. He collects 3 points in the first match of this tournament. For anyone who doesn't know how the Continental Classic is set up, it's set up very similar to the G1 Classic in Japan, or to give you another version of this, it is set up very much like Premier League soccer. You are set up in a round robin tournament. You collect points. You get you're in a group stage, and then you move on into an elimination stage. So just to give you a hint on how it works, I know I know Tony likes to do a lot of tournaments, and this is his favorite. Apparently, this is his version of the G1. So let's see how it plays out. They have a lot of good guys in it this year. So I think we'll get a lot of at least good wrestling matches. I don't know about anything outside of that at this point. We immediately move on from that and we get a Mercedes Moné promo. Please stop giving her the microphone. Just stop. But Camille quits during this promo. So, and gets attacked during Rampage and is now apparently written off of TV, which it took them 6 months to get her on TV. and even quicker wrote her off.
I'm not going to disagree with what you're saying there. The only thing for me is, and AEW does this all the time, why are we rushing this again? You had a chance to have something interesting around her character. The only thing we ever talk about with Monet is how are we getting it back to Willow? And you had something interesting with Camille here. Like, you were building something, and you could let it grow, you could let it simmer. And, it's one of those where you say, ding, cake's ready. It's like, it really wasn't. It's still liquidy batter.
Yeah,
fudge. It'll be a cake in an hour.
It has not raised at all.
No, it's like, oh, good. I hope you like your steak raw. Like, let it cook.
Just a little.
Yeah.
At least sear it.
Yeah, I'll eat a blue steak, but like, it's got to be black and blue. Like, at least hard sear the outside.
I don't understand what they were doing here. I feel like maybe Camille only has like a 1-year contract, and this might honestly be her way out.
I'm glad you said that. What if Camille's like, yeah, I don't want to be here? Like, and what if it's just a mutual thing?
I could see that happening. I could really, really see it happening, because they're not doing her any favors, realistically. And honestly, I think she would be great in the WWE. I know there are reasons apparently for her not to go there, but I also think she'd be really good in TNA.
Yeah, she's a good TNA fit.
I could see her being a really good matchup against like Masha Slamovich. That would be a nice a nice setup there. So
yes.
Let's just keep going down the hill, huh? You want to keep going down the hill, because next up, I figured it out. I have the name.
You have the acronym. Next up,
we have the retired over the hill title.
Golf clap. Thank you.
Yeah, there we go. For those of you who haven't figured it out, that's the ROH title, the Ring of Honor title, which at one point was disputed between the best young up-and-coming wrestlers in the world. Like, the world. Like, you had the Kevin Steens and the Jay Briscoes and the Lokis and the Christopher Daniels and the AJ Styles, all fighting for this early in their career. And now you have these young up-and-coming guys, Chris Jericho and Tomohiro Ishii.
Ooh. He does move like a pit bull made out of stone. It's I don't want to dig into this too much, man, because we're really trying not to dig AEW a grave, but guys, stop.
All I want to ask is this. Legion, this is one of those times I'm going to turn to you. If you like this, I need to know why. I want to know why this was good for you, because I kept the count in the beginning. They went over a minute straight and delivered 51 straight chops. 51. How is that good? Nothing about that screams good, and everything looks slow and weak. And Ishii no-sold a superplex.
As you're saying this is what I'm realizing. They had a match that the Japanese audience would have loved. We're not in Japan, because it's out of the trio here. It's pretty easy to say I'm probably the biggest fan of the Japanese stuff.
I agree.
And that match, if they had that match over under the New Japan banner, you and I look at it differently.
I completely agree, but the problem is you have to formulate a match differently for where you are at in the world.
I completely agree. I'm not trying to say, let's find the positive here, because look, get the damn ROH title off Jericho. First of all, like, he was better as the Ocho. I don't like the Nueve. I really don't.
With his stupid cowboy hat.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Apparently Jim Ross is suing him over.
I love it.
I did like that line, actually.
But it's it just go play golf, guys.
Seriously.
Go play golf. Like, go sit down. Go eat a steak. Have a martini. Just relax.
Listen, the match it went too long.
Mm-hmm.
It went very long, and Jericho wins. It takes 3 Judas Effect elbows to beat Ishii. And again, like you said, if this was Japan, this might have been also, if this was in Japan, you and I would be going, oh my God, this is great that we get to see this legend. But unfortunately, I mean, I don't know how legendary he really is. He's kind of one of those guys that never really won anything out there. He was just, he's legendary for being tough and being able to take an ass whooping.
He's on the same par as Minoru Suzuki. Like, he's the same there. He's and right now, even with
almost
Jericho,
the same age.
Yeah, and right now with Jericho, you want to know what Jericho is for AEW/ROH? He's that guy who's hung out too long at the party, who's like, who the hell invited him? Like, when's this? Like, nobody wants to tell him to leave because it's like, all right, cool. You know, he told a couple of cool stories about that time back in 1979 when he caught the game-winning friggin' touchdown pass. But it's time to go home now. Hang up your varsity jacket, bud. You're 60.
I was going to say, I figured out who he is just by you saying that, too. I'm glad you said the varsity jacket. He's the guy in Varsity Blues. I'm class of 1980. Class of 1980. You still come to all these high school parties? Yeah, he's that guy.
I love that movie.
I love that movie too. But like,
I love that dog.
Yeah, I think it's a pig. Yeah. Here's my point for this show. I started off on such a high with Shelton and Briscoe. And in 2 segments, you have given me this. What are we doing, man? I'm going to move on to the next segment, but like, we go from Shelton and Briscoe to this. The next is a Hangman Page promo. In ring, Tony Schiavone is the worst. There it is. Literally the first line. I don't understand. Like, they don't explain this line well enough, because Hangman talks about that if Christian had cashed in and won the title at Full Gear, that Hangman would be the world champion now, or like tomorrow, or the day after this Dynamite. I'm sorry, is how it's being formulated. Does that mean that Christian was going to automatically give Hangman the title shot if he won it, like on Dynamite? Because otherwise it doesn't make sense, and they never explain it. He never says it, and I know he's supposed to be crazy, but this promo is all over the place. He calls it the men's world title, which I don't think that you need to call it the men's world title necessarily. I get the idea that maybe that means you don't have to call it the women's world title either, but like, still.
So you want to know the thing that made this promo really not land. And again, you pointed out the line. You needed Christian to say that first. That's all it was. It's almost like this was a scripted promo, and they said we're scrapping Christian's segment, but we have nothing else, so go out there. And it's like, cool. It's like, it's somebody telling you a bunch of information about something you're completely unfamiliar with, and they're very versed in it, and you're like, great. What the hell are you talking about?
Swell.
Yeah.
The end of this, we get Switchblade coming back out. Apparently, we still kind of have Switchblade and Hangman like messing around with each other. I don't know if this is going to end with them teaming up in some way, shape, or form. But then the Mox World Death Riders come out and take out Jay White. And Marina Shafir chokes out a guy that you're setting up for the world title.
Listen, she hugged him out.
I know, like, don't get me wrong, the move itself was ugly to begin with, but like, you're still selling this. You're going to sell this idea that she took out a possible world title contender.
they so desperately want her to be the new China. Like, and that's really what it all is there. And I'm sorry, man. And again, I was saying it like, let's give it time to cook. Let's let it do this. Let's let it do that. Um, Moxley choking out Jay White, it didn't look good. And maybe it's because I've never been a big fan of Mox. I always respected him and everything else, and I never was like, oh, F this guy or anything like that. And
I thought he was a draw somehow, and I
yeah,
never understood it. But like, I'm with you. I get it.
I'm over it, man. I just am.
Again, is this just more Moxley creative? Which who who in their right mind gave John Moxley creative control?
You know, and I'm glad you said it like that, because they talked about how, and if you dig into things with creative, back when Cody was there, they talked about how Cody had his own like little Cody verse going on in there, and there was a problem, and that's where he had the falling out with the Elite and the other EVPs. Okay, well, what the hell's going on in the Moxley verse? Because it's
So much.
it's almost like, if Moxley does have the reins of creative right now, it's somehow he's convinced Tony Khan that he legitimately is a badass and he'll beat him up, when I think Tony Khan might actually beat up Moxley.
Just terrible.
Yeah.
All right. So we get another Continental Classic match, and this is going to be Claudio Castagnoli versus Ricochet. This match could be really good. It could have been. Is Ricochet ever going to win again?
I mean, of course, eventually he'll have a win again. And I, man, I've been saying it, like, because Ricochet is, again, he's also getting a little bit older and everything else. But since he's come to AEW, oh my gosh, he hasn't done himself any favors. And the thing is, it's not like he's not going out there and giving it his all. I don't know what it is, man, but something just is not landing.
I think I did figure it out. I
Okay.
really did. Like, I know we make jokes, like I made the joke, like it's his gear or it's this. No, I think I really did figure it out this time. I was watching how he moved in the ring, and I watched how many steps he took to do something, and I realized he scurried at one point. And I'm not knocking his fundamentals, because that's not where I'm going with this. He's been doing it too long for me to knock his fundamentals. I think he got used to the WWE ring, which is much bigger.
I agree.
I think that has a little bit of what it is, because we constantly say that his moves look a little off. He seems not in the right place sometimes. I think that might be what it is that he got used to that 20 by 20, and when you move to the 18 by 18, that extra footage really screwed him up a little bit.
Okay. And that dog hunts, but how long has he been in AEW now?
I also agree
And
with that.
that's the only thing I want to go with there. Like, okay, muscle memory, I get it. And having a match or two where, okay, the stuff I used to do, oh crap, I am flying too far. Oh crap, this guy is too far now, because, this, like, whatever it is, I can understand the judgment of the distance being off at the beginning, but he's
been there a couple months now. He's been there since what, August?
He's had at least 25 matches, man. And you and I, from working in things, we worked in super tiny rings and super big rings. And you didn't have the chance to go and do that. You just had to go and do it.
Just do.
So, and I'm not saying that you and I were some world beaters, because, we're here talking on the intranet about people who did make it big.
Intranet.
So it's, again, and this is said out of love for Ricochet, because he is so goddamn talented.
So talented. I actually, so for this match, and don't get me wrong, we both love Claudio.
Yeah.
I have it here that Ricochet needed to have more in this match. he needed to do more in this match. He needed to have more offense. This was, even for him being the underneath guy with what they're doing with Claudio, this match didn't even seem like it was 70-30. Like, it seemed like it was 80-20.
It was damn near a squash.
Yeah, like, it was just, like, he would get a move in and then immediately get cut off. And then he'd get, like, 2 moves in and immediately get cut off. There wasn't enough chain together offense to make it believable that Ricochet was going to actually pull this off at any point. And in this tournament, you need to believe that he's going to win somehow. Don't get me wrong, I love the fact that Claudio is now using the Lariat as a finisher. Big ups to that. Thank you, buddy. We know you're using it for us. Claudio, we love you no matter what. This is going to be a running thing here. I thought for what they did with the match, especially like you said, it was pretty much damn near a squash. The match just went a little bit too long for that.
Yeah,
I think this is going to be a running thing with what I'm looking at with Dynamite this week. We get an Adam Cole in-ring promo, baby. Why are Taven and Bennett even there? They don't really wrestle, and when they do occasionally wrestle, they lose.
It's I get so frustrated for some of the guys on the AEW roster who are so good, because Taven and Bennett are, and because they don't have anything for them to do, and which is sad, seeing as how they've got 3 shows and another promotion, and you don't have things for people to do that they can sink their teeth into. It upsets me because, and you know just how good Taven and Bennett are. I know how good Taven and Bennett are. And I understand you're trying to do this thing with Adam Cole and him coming back, because Adam Cole is good. He really is. But I don't know how he's been a champ everywhere he's gone. I mean, it just doesn't add up. And while I was expecting to eventually see Adam Cole as champ in AEW, which at some point I'm sure he'll get, it's almost like I don't want that to happen for him. Like, I don't know, man. It's maybe I'm souring a lot on AEW. Maybe just a lot of the trying to find the silver lining for them has gotten to me a little bit. And maybe I am doomsaying a little right now, but it's like, it's just not hitting for me, man.
So I might have said this already to you, but it's a little scary to think that Vince might have been right and Adam Cole might have been better as a manager.
Yeah.
So you have to fast forward a little bit, but like Adam Cole managing Keith Lee under Triple H, I think would have done great things.
Yeah.
It has to be in this situation though. I think under Vince, it might not have done very well, because they might have put Keith Lee back in that tennis skirt or whatever the hell he was wearing.
Yeah.
This whole promo is Kyle O'Reilly comes out and interrupts. We get another MJF video. The video thing is getting old, honestly. I don't want to dislike MJF, and I'm starting to dislike his. I'm even starting to dislike his stuff. Kyle and Adam both enter into the Dynamite Dozen Battle Royal for next week, which gives you a shot at the Dynamite Diamond ring that he's always wearing, that MJF is the only person to have ever won. So maybe we finally get that off of him, but who knows? Doubtful. Again, it's just it's old, and it's some of the stuff's old and it's getting stale, and that's including MJF stuff. MJF stuff is just, they're recycling old stuff.
It's too predictably formulaic.
It's yeah, exactly. We get a match that I was very happy about next, though. Jamie Hayter versus Queen Aminata for the Wrestle Dynasty Women's Cup. So we have another tournament going on during this whole thing. I guess this kind of falls into the same category as like the king and queen of the ring. So I guess I can see it, but I don't know if this tournament actually means anything realistically. Like I don't see anyone winning anything really crazy at the end of this. I appreciate something that Jamie Hayter and Queen Amanada did right off the jump, though. They actually wrestled in an aggressive manner. They worked a lockup, like two people that were supposed to be powerhouses and that were like trying to like get an advantage over. Which means I obviously believe that they're listening to the show because I said that last week. At least Queen Amanada, she's listening to us.
100%. She's our
Definitely.
biggest fan.
Clearly. Maybe Jamie Hayter. I don't know. I hope so. She has cool red hair.
Yeah, you're not going to get a bad match with the two of them.
No, it was really, really good. I was actually pleasantly surprised just because a lot of the stuff with Queen Amanada, unfortunately, has been good matches, but like no storyline attached to it. So unfortunately, she kind of gets fast forwarded through a little bit on my part when I'm trying to go through everything. This was a really good match. I will say this, and you'll understand this terminology. Jamie Hayter throws a thud chop.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, she does. Oof. Oh, God. You just brought me back. I just refelt
a thud chop.
I just refelt Iron Mike Sharp hitting me.
Oh. Yeah. With the forearm brace.
He hit me so hard I puked.
That actually makes sense. Hey, yeah. He's the greatest athlete to ever come out of Canada. A country which has also repeatedly apologized for Bryan Adams.
Not enough.
Again, this match is really, really good. My fear is that it's so late in the program, it's a little bit too late to save kind of the other stuff between this and Shelton.
Yeah, it's
a little too little. Sorry, too many of the same words. Yeah. It's a bit too little, too late for this show to turn itself around.
Yeah.
We get the main event, which is another Continental Classic match. It's going to be Brody King versus Darby Allin. Right in the beginning, Brody hits this awesome, like it's supposed to be that flip that you always see him do, where he grabs the foot and they do the flip and he lands on his feet. And instead he forces Darby to do a double flip and take a bump. It was awesome. It was really, really cool.
Yeah, it matched what should happen with the two of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Outside of that, though, this is the same Brody Darby match we've seen so many times at this point. Brody goes over clean. Claudio comes out to kind of finish off Darby, and Brody stands tall in his way, which leads to us getting Brody versus Claudio in the next match for the Continental Classic. In which case, I'm not mad about that match whatsoever.
It'll be fun.
It'll be fun. It's going to be two guys it's going to be two beefy guys hitting each other with man beef. Right? Like, that's what this is.
Just give me two meaty men slapping
man meat. All that man meat.
Did you watch that thing?
Yes, I watched it.
It's perfect.
It's so absurd. It's so absurd. All right, guys. But that was Dynamite this week.
Oh, my gosh.
Let's move on. We have AEW Collision. And they opened up with a match that I knew I was going to like. And that, again, it seems like the opening match. They catch me. That's how they're tricking me. That's how they're tricking me, guys. We get Will Ospreay versus Juice Robinson. And in case anyone is new to the show, Juice Robinson is easily my favorite member of the Bang Bang Gang.
Yeah.
Easily. He's another one of those guys, like we said about Ren Sinclair. He makes other people look phenomenal.
Juice is incredible, man.
He's so talented. Again, this match doesn't disappoint. It's a really good match. It made sense. The stuff they did was right. And Will Ospreay ends up winning this match with the hidden blade. I think you need to get him back on track where maybe the end of this Continental Classic is going to be possibly a rematch with Will and Kyle Fletcher. I could see that happening.
Yeah, it definitely is setting that up. It's a good way to get the two of them back together without having to force the feud, because again, the whole pile driver on the stairs should have been definitive. And I go back to my saying the match should have ended because people came out to, essentially stop it. Like, that's enough. But it's a good way to eventually get back to that, where Will gets to build himself back up. But I almost don't want the second time they tangle up. I kind of don't want Ospreay to win yet either. Like, I want this to be something where, because they're so good together, where Ospreay has to fight his way back and climb the mountain and almost fail climbing the mountain again.
I would like that. I think that's a really good way to get them there. Our next match for Collision is going to be a trios match. It's Johnny Many Names and the MXM Collection versus Private Party, our tag team champions, and Mystico, who, if anyone does not know who Mystico is, he is the former Sin Cara, the original Sin Cara.
He's mystical.
He's mystical. I'm gonna say this.
Man,
watching this entrance, Private Party didn't seem that over.
They're not.
I didn't think so. Like again, this is another situation where they're pumping in the chant, kind of like CEO, but instead this time it's shots, and they're doing the thing, and no one's saying it with them. I'm just saying. So is the crowd dead, or are they not over?
Yes.
Both? It's
yes.
Both those things?
Yes.
Perfect. I think everyone involved in this match is very talented. Again, the crowd is kind of dead. Or it might not even be that the crowd is really dead. It's they just came off of Ospreay and Juice, and they don't give it enough time to they don't give it enough time to cook when they're trying to build the crowd up. Like, they'll start like a slow clap and then immediately start doing a move. Like, you get like 2 claps of the slow clap, and then they start wrestling again. Private Party and Mystico go over in this match. It was a match. It was a thing that happened on this show. No one got hurt. Nothing was overly silly or dumb, but again, I just feel like Private Party and this is not a tag team that's over as champions right now.
I think it's an experiment with them as champs. I think that's really what it is saying, hey, how will this go? I don't think they're slated for a long run at all.
I don't think so. And I think they were really hoping that this was going to be a recreation of the Acclaimed.
Yeah, 100%. I think they were trying to, successfully trip over the same rock twice. And that is a very, very hard thing to do. Oftentimes, those things are extremely organic and unique, and that's what makes them special, i.e. the yes movement. You can't recreate that with another person.
Yeah. It's lightning in a bottle, like you said.
Yep.
We get a quick Anna Jay promo, which, Hound, I'm gonna give you credit on this one. You had said this weeks ago when all this was going on. Anna Jay can only not challenge for the world title as long as Mariah May has it, it seems. She says in the promo, I can't challenge for the title right now. I really want someone to sit and produce Anna Jay's promos. She has far too much talent and way too much upside to not be a star. And these promos are hurting her a little bit. She's a little bit too soft. She's a little bit too, like you said, the last time it seemed like she was gonna cry during her promo. Like, is everything okay at home? I need her to sit with a Christopher Daniels or or a Jake the Snake Roberts or something and figure out what she's doing wrong here.
The only thing I can hope, and again, this would echo exactly what you're saying about figuring out what you're doing wrong, is I'm hoping that this leads to some kind of a character rebirth where it was where it, for lack of a better way of saying it, like she did have to go cry it out. And in doing so, I don't want it to be some mystical supernatural thing, but almost like the whole, like Uncle Howdy is an alternate character. The Fiend was an alternate character, if you will. Whatever it is, like we don't need some crazy mystical mask and all this stuff and everything else, but something where she did have to go through that to find the next layer beneath that does showcase the ability. So there could be something really cool there. But again, this is one of those things where they would have to walk a very, very fine line with it. And it would require Anna Jay kind of submitting herself to the learning tree, if you will.
I could see, actually, you know what? She might not be a terrible fit for the alleged learning tree.
Yeah.
Our next match on Collision is going to be another Continental Classic. This is going to be Kyle Fletcher versus the Beast Mortos. I've been getting really impressed with both these guys. I really like Mortos. I know he might be an acquired taste, but I really like the stuff they're doing with him. I kind of hope they use him as a dark horse in this tournament. Like, really, like, put him in, like, hey, he might spoil some brackets type of thing. I think he's the perfect guy for that. Not to downplay this match too much. It was a great match, but Kyle Fletcher gets the win and the 3 points. And we move on from that onto the fun match, I guess we can call it. The Outrunners versus the Iron Savages. I like these guys. I like all of these guys in this match. I really do. I appreciate what they bring to the ring. But this was going to be an entertainment match. Both these teams are known more for their comedy than, let's say, their work rate. The Outrunners end up winning it clean. Again, it's kind of a bit of a throwaway, but it was a good enough match. It was a match that happened again.
If you took that match in a vacuum and you placed that in between, like if you took that on a pay-per-view and you placed that in between, like let's just say the Fletcher Ospreay, and then you had that, and then you had like Hangman versus Jay White, it would do its job well. It would allow the crowd to calm down and start coming back up to be ready for the next one. So does that make sense?
Yes, it's a good buffer match.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a buffer match. You put it in there. I don't even want to say it's necessarily a popcorn match. It would be a great buffer match. Honestly, while you were describing it, it's a Bushwhackers match.
There you go.
It's the Bushwhackers. Like you could have taken this match seriously if it was done a proper way, but it was going to be entertainment value more than, again, work rate or violence or anything like that. The following match on Collision is going to be Wheeler Yuta versus Hangman Adam Page. I'm not sure who the face is here, or if there is a face. And since it seems like there is no face, I don't actually know why I care about the match. The entirety of the match falls a bit flat. It just seems vanilla, kind of like Wheeler Yuta. I don't want to. I'm not gonna go down the same rabbit hole I go down sometimes with him, but he's vanilla.
You're not wrong. So the one thing is, we may not have a face in the match, but there were two faces, haha, because they're humans. Stupid dad joke.
Oh, you.
So the takeaway I had from it, thing that annoyed me, I think Page hits Wheeler Yuta with like a roaring elbow. And then Yuta does the Yuta thing where he rolls between the middle and bottom rope and then does a weird ass skin the cat to come back in and do whatever the hell he was doing. There was no need for it. I think it looked silly there. If they wanted to lean into this, Yuta is part of the John Moxley Death Riding World Organization of Letdown. I'm frustrated with Moxley. Sorry. Good Lord. Did my frustration come through a little bit there?
I'm just happy it's not me this time. Oh my God, that was amazing. Oh. Do we send them to the island of misfit toys?
Oh my God!
Does Yuta is Wheeler Yuta the one that wants to be the dentist?
Oh damn it! Wheeler Yuta is, and his name is friggin' Wheeler, and he's got square wheels. Yes, God, he is a train with friggin' square wheels. It's pissing me off too. Son of a bitch!
No one wants a Joe in the box.
Oh my God, nobody wants a goddamn Moxley anywhere in a box. Like, put him in a box and get rid of him. The son of a bitch. Sorry. Jesus.
But grab the box with the title first and bring that back.
You know what? And you know what? Hit Marina Shafir with the damn thing first. Like, go away. I get it. Oh, I know MMA today. I will put my hand on your forehead and you can't reach me. Tiny woman, go away. Sorry.
I mean, everyone's tiny.
I get it. I'm sorry. I'm getting flustered.
I'm so happy this happened, by the way. I'm so happy.
I've been trying to be like, let's happy flowers. This whole, God damn it. You have so much talent you're friggin' wasting. And it right there, that whole like little friggin' failed loop-de-loo that he's doing there. If you wanted Wheeler Yuta to look menacing there, he goes out, he hits the floor, and he gets up mad and comes in, like bounces up. That right there tells a better psychology of the whole damn thing. And the thing is, and they hit some of the right points. He puts Page in the tree of woe and continues to attack a leg he targeted a week earlier, where I was like, story, cohesive, coherent story. There's no continuity error. It wasn't like he attacked his left leg the week before and attacked his right there. No, he stayed on the same leg. And I was like, good for you, bucko. Job, like, look at you doing the thing that we're supposed to do in pro wrestling and tell a story and be like, look, his leg is gimmicked up. Let me attack the gimmick. Sorry, Legion. You all are catching frustrated Hound at the moment, but
I'm so happy right now.
I know you are. And,
I'm so happy.
And listen, and you know, the only good thing about this is that Takeshita didn't friggin' do this, because if it was him, I would be nuclear hot right now. Friggin' bastard. Somehow it's his fault.
It's gotta be his fault.
It's friggin' Takeshita. No soup for you. Friggin' guy. And that's because his Twitter handle is Take Soup, for those who don't know.
It's amazing.
And I love Takeshita, by the way, but I'm still going to kick his ass.
He's still going to fight him. There's respect involved in it.
Never,
R-E-S-P-E-C-K.
Yeah, exactly. Respect on it. My name, Takeshita. Sorry, you've got me ranting at this point, and I'm realizing what it is. I'm getting hungry and I'm getting hangry. Is what's happening.
Yes.
And Wheeler Yuta pushed me over the edge. But
and I had to use the word vanilla while it was happening, so it made it even worse.
And I'm on a diet, and I would give anything for vanilla ice cream right now. You son of a bitch! God damn it, Wheeler Yuta! I am glad that the letdown death riding organization of failure didn't come save you while you had friggin' chairs around your neck.
The letdown world organization of failure.
Oh my gosh.
It just gets better. It keeps getting better.
They just need Tongaloa.
Illificala.
Oh my God. Fala Ikalava. Ikalava. I don't friggin' know. And for those who've heard us in other things where we make this joke, the reason we say Fala Ikalava is because Tongaloa was known as, was it Camacho at one point?
Camacho, yeah. He was a Spanish gimmick.
So, and Fala Ikalava, and we're saying it wrong, is in both Samoan and Spanish, it's failure. Okay? There's
the failure.
Yeah,
there it is.
Tap dancing Christ at this point.
So is I'm going to try to get us a little bit back on track here.
Please do.
So is
I'm
the
off
only
the
reason to
rails.
have Wheeler Yuta in this group at this point to have whoever's going after John Moxley like get to beat one of them up so that they look menacing in some way, shape, or form? Because it's failing.
No shit, it's failing. Sorry. It's
Also, I really want to see someone like I want Schiller or I want Wheeler Yuta to shave his beard because I want to see what he looks like under there.
he'll look like somebody I bought something from Radio Shack. Is what he'll look like.
He's gonna look like the guy from Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah, he really is. And God, he
Or
could be so
I'm sorry,
good.
no, he's gonna look like the Asian kid from the Goonies.
With the pinchers of Pal, yes, he will. Saved by my pinchers of Pal. Freaking. How about save your damn matches and stop doing stupid shit?
I'm gonna move us on.
Thank you.
There we go. So we get the next match is gonna be Mina Shirakawa versus Layla Gray. I'm gonna kind of gloss over this match a little bit just because Mina clearly was going to win, but this was just to set up Mina as having momentum going into her title match next week with Mariah May. It was not a bad match by any means. It's just that's what this match was made to do, and that's kind of all it was.
It adequately performed its function.
Yes, and we got some shaking dancing.
I'm okay with that too.
And the main event of the evening, another Continental Classic match. Hound, this is definitely one I want to get your opinions on. This is Kazuchika Okada, who is the current defending Continental Champion, versus Daniel Garcia, the TNT Champion. And this match went to a draw. We talked a little bit about this, but Hound, I'm gonna see where you're thinking on this match so far.
So ending in a draw is the right way to do this. So Okada does hold the Continental strap. To have him lose in the first round, the only way that happens is you have to get it somewhere all the way back around to him taking out the guy who beat him. And that's not the right move right there. And Garcia did just win a singles title at the pay-per-view. So going to a time limit draw, what it does is it protects Okada, which, I mean, you kind of have to right now with that. And it not only protects Garcia's title win, it raises Garcia's stock because on its face, looking at the two of them, it should be Okada going over 99.9 times out of 100. And the fact that you have done this way and the way the two of them handled their match together, which they did a great job, I thought. Everybody might not agree with me, but I enjoyed the match tremendously. I thought it raised Garcia's stock. I thought Okada really did Garcia a huge favor here. Like, as you could see, there were parts of this where Okada was kind of pulling him through, and I'm glad that he did, and I believe ultimately it's going to have Garcia believe in himself a little more, which I think is something he'd been missing. I think he'd half been dwarfed by some moments, and he's starting to realize he can swim in these waters.
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree. He can definitely start. He can doggy paddle.
Yeah.
I do have a question, and this is not just with this match, but this is something I've been seeing in matches in general. We see it a bit more in AEW than we do in WWE, obviously, because for obvious reasons. But when did it become like a thing that if the doctor needs to attend to a competitor that like on the outside of the ring, that the match is all of a sudden put on hold? That like if you're laying on the outside of the ring, that you no longer have a count out. Like if you have to stop the match for a doctor to attend to you, didn't that used to be a thing where the match was over? Either the match was over, or B, you still had to beat the count, right? Like,
yeah, or you would. The only way it would be different was, and it's like a Mick Foley thing where he's getting stretchered and then he gets off the stretcher and like, okay, he's he's pushed his way back, and it's like the match restarts. It was almost like you didn't have a definitive winner. The match was thrown out, and then it restarted because of somebody's toughness. I wish in scenarios like this they would take the opportunity, whether it's a work or a shoot, you have the opportunity to build some storylines there, and you kind of get them in an interesting way. It's something where let's say you and I were in a program, and you and I were doing our thing, and we're 50-50 in it across this whole thing. And, I got some real life stuff. And for 2 weeks, I need to go not be a pro wrestler and go be a dad. Do something like that takes me, out of the running for the 2 weeks so real life can happen for me, makes you look kind of menacing. And when I come back, because it's not something where you're like, oh my God, his knee is now twisted upside down and shoved into his ear, where it's like, well, he's got to be on the shelf for the rest of his life kind of thing.
You mean like a tombstone onto the stairs?
Yes, exactly that. But it's one of those where it's like, oh my gosh, yeah, no, maybe he did get his bell rung a little bit. Maybe, he's being helped to the back, like as he's walking, he's holding his arm. Maybe there really is a stinger, and he does have dead arm for 2 weeks, and you could really use that to build some stories and make some people look strong. And I think they're missing opportunities. And I think that's everywhere where they're missing opportunities with that.
That's the thing is it's kind of across the board a little bit. Like you said, we see it more in AEW, but that doesn't mean that we don't see it in WWE.
Yeah.
So like, I'm not absolving one side or the other. It's just, you see it, there's a little bit more frequency of it, frequent use of it in AEW as to where WWE kind of, the last time I really remember seeing a match being put on hold was the Hell in a Cell match with Finn Balor and Edge, because they had to literally like staple his head together in the middle of the match.
Yeah, he caught a real one there.
A very real one. But all around, like I said, I have no complaints about this Okada Garcia match. I think this match, like you said, this did exactly what it was supposed to do. This show Collision managed to sandwich it nicely, and nothing was overly absurd in the middle where I kind of lost my interest.
Yeah.
So Collision, for being every Collision I always feel like is a standalone show. It's a spot show, basically.
Yeah.
But this was the best of what they've put out for these spot shows. So for that, AEW will give you a golf clap. You know what? I'll say it. AEW Collision this week, I will give you a B- also.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, like it's a solid passing grade. Like you might be on the lower end of the B-. Like you're like an 82 instead of like the 81 that's the C+.
Exactly.
And AEW Dynamite,
C+.
Yeah, you need to take some laps.
C-.
C-. Oh man, but that was our week in NXT and AEW. Legion, we will have our review of Survivor Series War Games coming out this week as well. Hound and I should be reviewing Deadline when it comes out. We're not going to do a preview for it for the stuff for TNA and for NXT. We don't actually do previews for that stuff. We just do reviews of what their big cards are. So we will be doing a review of that. So look forward to that. Again, we have a ton of content just coming out for you guys. Also, be sure to check out our social media every day around 5:00. You'll get something interesting from a big Hound Dog over there. Don't worry, it's totally worth it. Hound Dog, you wanna leave our Legion with anything for that one?
Folks, I leave you the same way I always do. Thank you so much for giving us your most precious resource, your time. Take care and God bless.
And as always, guys, remember, tuck your chin when you bump.